In the meantime, I just wanted to say to you that Dr. Pachauri has done great work. And, we have met in various different environmental conferences. He has come here to California to several of our environmental conferences and global climate conferences. And, and I've mentioned always what a great and daring goal that he had by saying that he's going to go and switch kerosene lanterns in India to solar. And, as a matter of fact, I'm carrying this around all the time to show to people that this great idea of making this, creating this 1 billion kerosene lanterns will be changed over to solar like that. So, this is a great inspiration to all of us, and this is what this is all about. And we in California, we of course been very conscientious about global warming, and have done our own great work. If it is the cap and trade, for instance, when we make a commitment to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 25% by the year 2020. And also to have the Green Building Initiative, where we make our government buildings more energy efficient by 20%. Which we all know, government is usually the biggest landlord. So to turn off those buildings and make them more energy efficient is a great example for the private sector also. And then also it's very important for us to build the hydrogen highway, because we don't want to have the hydrogen fueled cars and the manufacturers saying that we don't have enough fueling stations, so we provide them with fueling stations here in California. We also do the low-carbon fuel standards. We are having the Million Solar Roof Initiative, and all of those kind of things that we're doing here in California. As a matter of fact, because of the great work we are doing here in California, we are by 40% more energy efficient than the rest of the United States. Think about that, 40% more energy efficient, all because our buildings are so much more energy efficient.
Governor,
we just hope now that the federal government is following us and is doing the kind of things on a national level of what we are doing here on the state level. And I think the important thing is, people always talk about the Copenhagen Conference. The Copenhagen Conference was successful, not because the federal governments didn't come to an agreement, but the very fact of them recognizing the subnational governments, of how important they are and how important it is to engage the subnational governments, the cities, the counties, the states, the provinces, and also the people, not just to think that the federal government is going to be the solution, because let's not forget that no big movement has ever started at a capital. They all start at the grassroots level, like Dr. Pachauri does, on a grassroots level, and then let it grow, and let it grow, and let it grow, and then it will explode and put the pressure on the federal governments, so they have to create change.
Governor, let me introduce...
So this is why I'm a big fan of what you're doing over there, and we're going to go and continue pushing here. And the other thing that I want to just mention here before we go to the question and answer session is that what is good for the environment is good for the economy. We have seen it here in California that the most jobs are being created now in the green sector. 10 times more jobs are being created in the green sector than in all the other stuff altogether. So we are very happy with what's going on here in California and the explosion that we see in green technology. We have like 45% of all the patents in the United States right here in California, and 57% of all venture capital comes to California because of the laws that we have in place in order to protect the environment and to reduce greenhouse gases. So we are on the right track. We now just have to push the federal government to go in that same direction.
Governor, let me introduce to you Mr. Vikram Chandra. He's our leading TV personality and anchor, and he's going to take over. But before he does that, the last time we were together in Copenhagen, you said you love being in Europe because everybody has an accent. I can assure you, if you come to India, you'll hear many more accents. And I hope you'll come here.
I like your accent, Dr. Pachauri.
and I hope you'll come here.
You always make me look good with your accent.
And I hope you'll come here next February, Governor. We want you here very, very much. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Vikram
Absolutely, now. I will come. I promise you that. And like I said, I'm sorry I cannot be with you. But we do have a California delegation there, which I'm very happy with the leadership of Linda Adams. She's doing a terrific job. So she's going to brief me exactly of what went on over there.
Great. Thank you very much, Governor. Let me turn it over to Vikram now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Governor, it's great to be talking to you. I'm Vikram Chandra out here, and we in India look forward to welcoming you. We've been admirers of yours for a long time, not just because of films, but also because of what you're doing in California. But you were saying a short while back that you're having problems with the deficit. And I know Sarah Palin just attacked you and said that it's because you're spending too much of your time worrying about the environment that you've got this deficit problem to start with.
Well, as you know, that the great thing about all of this is that there's enough room for everyone's opinion. She can have her opinion, we have our opinion, and we all can live together and go and move forward. I think in the end, people like her would know that we are going in the right direction and that we have to all work together in order to face this problem and to eliminate the threat of global warming.
But Governor, if the United States and the federal government has to move in a certain direction, I think it's very important for the Republican Party in general to follow the lead that you're setting and the sort of signals that you've been talking about. How confident are you that by and large the sort of views that you're expressing there in California, those views will spread to all parts of the United States?
Well, first of all, let me just say that I don't think it's a political issue at all. I think that we have Republican governors that have followed our lead, like Governor Huntsman or Governor Christie in Florida and so on. I mean, there's a lot of governors that are Republicans that have followed our lead. So I wouldn't call it Republican versus Democratic issue, because even in the Democratic Party, they have very much difficulties, especially from those states that are coal-producing states and have Democratic governors, or that are ethanol or corn-producing states and that are governors from the Democratic Party. So I think that it crosses over. I think the key thing is that we keep promoting of what our message is, which is that we all have to work together. We got to reduce our greenhouse gases. We got to produce clean coal. We got to get off of fossil fuel. We must go and look at alternatives, which is a biofuel. Here in California, we have great strides we're making forward with, for instance, making biofuel from algae. Now, the Navy just has made an agreement with Solarzyme to power their ships with biofuel.
Right. Governor, I'm going to come back, and I would like to really discuss some of the initiatives that you've launched out there in California in considerable detail. But first, just coming back to the federal government, it's very clear that one of the reasons why we might struggle to come to some sort of a binding, legally binding treaty at Mexico, just as we did in Copenhagen, is the difficulty of getting the United States to sign on that. And a little earlier this day at this conference, Jeffrey Sachs was saying that he doesn't see the United States being willing or able to sign on to a legally binding treaty. How optimistic are you that at some point the U.S. would agree? Or do you think it's possible to get that legislation passed in the U.S.?
Well, I think that you have to understand the way the politics works. There is no one in the United States at this point that can guarantee to a binding agreement until Congress has voted and all are in sync that our goal is a reduction of greenhouse gases of 15% or 20% or 25%. So therefore, when President Clinton has come to an agreement in 1997, I mean, as you remember, when he came back to the United States after his agreement, Congress turned it down and voted it down. So it doesn't help to come to an agreement when, in fact, Congress has not voted for it. So this is why it is important of what the Obama administration is doing right now, which is to lay the groundwork so they have an agreement in the Congress and then to go back and make that agreement. Then when America makes an agreement, America will stick to it. That I can guarantee you. But first, Congress has to vote for it.
But do you think there's any realistic chance that Congress is going to end up voting for some sort of legally binding emission cuts? I mean, clearly, lots and lots of people within Congress, within the political system there in the United States, some of them seem to be doubting whether climate change at all is taking place, and they're saying, why should we do this? Do you think Congress should vote on that?
I think that Congress will eventually vote on it. It's just very difficult right now, I have to say, because right now the #1 priority is to create jobs and to get our economy back. So I think that Congress is going to concentrate on that. But it doesn't mean that eventually they're not going to pick up these ideas and they're going to have a vote on it, because I think we have already seen great movement in America. The American people are much more conscientious about reducing greenhouse gases. I think people are driving with cleaner cars now. They're driving with cars that are getting more mileage. They're making their homes more energy efficient. They're buying more appliances that are more energy efficient. They're buying more biofuel. So, I mean, there's all kinds of movement going on. And this is why I say don't rely so much on Congress. Don't rely so much on federal governments. Don't rely so much on the UN coming to a conclusion on this whole thing. Engage the public. As I said earlier, listen, it needs people power. We need to engage the people, and the people then go and can make those moves. Why is, for instance, the Titanic the #1 movie grosser, and why is Avatar the #1 movie grosser? It is not that governments made regulations and say that you must go and see those movies and you can't go and see the other movies. It's just because they have something to offer that is great and entertaining. And I think that we, in a renewable market and in green energy and all of those things, in fighting global warming, we have something very appealing to offer to make the world healthier and to fight global warming and to get rid of the threat of global warming, of what will happen if we go more and more in that direction. People want to buy in. People want to be part of this movement. We just want to have to make it very sexy and attractive rather than always dictating from the top down. Let's dictate from the bottom up.
Dr. Pachauri, you have a question?
Yeah, Governor, I think the audience here would like to know what it is that you're planning to do with the hydrogen highway, and also what is it that California will do with solar energy. I think this would be of great interest to the audience.
Well, I think this is a very good question.